Hey loves, it's Britt, and in this video I'm continuing my Moon Through the Houses series in Synastry. In this video I'm going to talk about what it means to have your moon falling into someone's first house in Synastry, or their moon falling into your first house in Synastry. So this one, we tend to be very similar. A lot of what I said in my video about the moon conjunct to the ascendant in Synastry is going to relate here. Although specifically this is about the moon landing in someone's first house, which is a bit different than the 12th house. We'll get to the 12th house too. So with this one, the moon person strongly identifies with the house person as someone who is a similar type and someone who will understand their feelings. So the moon is especially significant in Synastry relationship chart comparison because the moon is how we feel instinctively. It's not how we think. I mean, it definitely can relate to the thoughts, but it's more the instinctual reactions and responses and the feelings in the heart. So it tends to be very important in Synastry. You don't really want to have your moon not aspected in Synastry, or at least having strong house positioning like this one. This is a particularly strong placement for the moon to be. So wherever the moon is falling in the Synastry overlay in the houses shows where we bring our heart to that person, where we bring our feelings, our nurturing, our feminine side. And even men have a feminine side with their moon, right? And their moon can actually represent their image, subconsciously of their wife, who they will marry, and also how they instinctively react and respond too. So when someone's moon is falling into someone's first house, this is actually a pretty comfortable position for your moon to be falling, because you feel like the house person will understand your emotions, and the house person feels like the moon person, like the way that they feel is right, or is not like foreign. When we have first house overlays, we have this strong identification with this person where, it's like the opposite of feeling like you found some like alien person who you just like cannot relate to. Like, are they from a different planet? Like, they just act so weird, you just don't get it. Moon in the first house overlay is kind of like the opposite of that. We're very similar, and the moon person, though, can be seen by the ascendant person as emotional, because the ascendant is how we project our personality out into the world, how we act, our first reaction and response actually as well, along with our moon. But it's not as emotional as the moon. The moon is much more feminine and inward, where the ascendant is a much more outward energy. So the one thing that could end up being more negative with this position is just that the house person can see the moon person as someone who is very emotional and very outward about their emotions, because that's what kind of happens with this overlay, is that the moon person feels so safe to share all of their emotions that they end up actually being more of that moon sign, okay? Which can be a very good thing for emotional awareness. And the moon person can really feel like they learn a lot about themselves and their inner workings from this connection. So it can be a really good thing, but it's definitely a very out there placement for the moon. So the moon can tend to be more inward. It doesn't always, moon and fire sign is a little bit different, but usually the moon is a more internal thing. And so to have your moon placed in someone's first house, it's kind of like getting it out there in a really strong way. And so this connection can be very emotional. But it can work out in a positive way as well, where the moon person, like I said, gains a great awareness of how they feel, and like by just interacting with the ascendant person or the house person, they really understand themselves better and understand their inner workings. And it actually can be a very, very comfortable overlay to have, where you just feel like you can be yourselves, and there's no need to put on a fake persona or anything that's not naturally how you feel, because like I did say, the ascendant is how we project our energy into the world. So the ascendant person feels like they can just be who they are without holding back, without thinking about it too much. They can really just act how they normally would act, and the moon person responds in a nurturing and supportive way. So it can be very healing for the first house person, to have this relationship. Like, they can feel so accepted and nurtured by this connection, and they can feel more like themselves than with anybody, and they can really gain a better sense of their own identity. And the moon person is getting a very similar feeling from this as well, but they're getting more of a sense of their emotions. And the first house person is getting more of a sense of their identity and like, their basic thrust into the world. And so it's a very comfortable, powerfully emotional connection. It can be harder to be neutral with this type of relationships because the emotions are quite out there, front and center. And other people can see this couple as one that is, more moon-ish, more emotional, maybe more feminine. It's definitely a moon-influenced relationship. And you'd want to look at, what aspects the moon is receiving there in the first house, because it's quite a strong position. So if it's receiving positive aspects, it's going to be felt all the more positively. But if it's receiving negative aspects, it might be sort of uncomfortable, because like I said, this is a really emotional connection, and it's a very outward place for the moon, because the moon naturally ruling the fourth house of the most inner hidden places, and now we've got it in the first house of self, and that very outward house. So it can be too emotional for some people and too strong. Like, it's a strongly felt connection. It's an unforgettable connection. And it's definitely feels like soulmates. Like, a lot of what I said about a moon conjunct ascendant and synastry can be related to this video. So it's a good one to have, though, as far as being extremely similar. You're going to find that with, so you've got your big three in astrology. And now, every position is important, but when you have these kind of aspects, right, or these first house overlays, because everything in the first house is kind of the same as like a conjunction to the ascendant, although the conjunction to the ascendant is even more powerful. But so when we have first house overlays, it just tends to be significant, like when you have aspects between sun, moon, ascendant. These are very important and very significant in relationships. Like, it is common to see a strong moon placement in the house of, or in the charts of married partners, because when you can emotionally relate, when you feel similar, when you can identify, that's a really good thing. It's good to understand each other. It's good to be able to emotionally connect. And that's something that we have here, is we have a feeling of connection and compatibility, and even more than compatibility, like sameness. We have this feeling that we have met someone who understands our emotions because they're the same. Like, they get it, And there can be, with this placement, communication without actually communicating, right? Like telepathic connection, because we just get each other by being so similar. So yeah, I'd love to know how this was for you, how this overlay was. Definitely a powerful one. You can let me know in the comments, and I am doing your requests. Let me know any requests you would like me to talk about on a video. And yeah, love you guys. Thanks for watching. Bye.